At our engagement party, my fiancée, Ava Harrison, in front of every single guest, unclasped the Patek Philippe I'd given her. The $500,000 watch, our token of betrothal, was then fastened by her own hand onto the wrist of her best friend, Leo Sterling. The ballroom fell silent. You could have heard a pin drop. Leo raised his wrist, letting the watch catch the light of the crystal chandeliers. He shot me a challenging smirk, a look that said, "See, anything that's yours, I can take whenever I want." But Ava, with an air of perfect innocence, linked her arm through mine. She looked up at me, her voice a sweet, playful murmur. "Ethan, Leo just got back to the States. He hasn't had a chance to get a decent watch yet. You don't mind if he borrows this one for a bit, do you? It's not like you're short on them." She squeezed my arm. "You love me so much, you won't mind, right?" I stared into the eyes I once thought held entire constellations, but now all I saw was a cruel, bottomless ignorance. I laughed, a low rumble that vibrated through my chest. Everyone expected an explosion. They braced for me to flip a table, to ignite the kind of high society drama that would be whispered about for months. But I didn't. I gently removed her hand from my arm, picked up the microphone from the nearby podium, and my voice, calm and steady, filled the hall. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming." I paused, my eyes sweeping over Ava's suddenly pale face and Leo's slightly narrowed gaze. "Today I, Ethan Vance, would like to make a formal announcement. The engagement between myself and Ms. Ava Harrison is, as of this moment, terminated. From here on out, we go our separate ways." I let the microphone drop. It hit the marble floor with a jarring shriek of feedback, a sound like a slap across the face of the Harrison family and Leo Sterling. This was my revenge. No, this was just the beginning. My name is Ethan Vance, founder of a moderately successful tech firm. I built my company from the ground up, turning it into a billion-dollar enterprise not through luck, but through intellect and a heart hard enough to make the necessary cuts. Ava Harrison, heiress to one of New York's old money families, was my childhood sweetheart. I thought our union was meant to be, until Leo Sterling appeared. He was, in Ava's words, closer than a brother. A best friend who'd grown up abroad and only recently returned. He was handsome, charming, and carried the golden halo of a Stanford graduate, parachuted directly into a VP role at his family corporation. Ava swore their friendship was purely platonic. Platonic enough that she could run over to his place in her pajamas at 2 in the morning to bring him a late-night snack because he's still jet-lagged and was hungry. Platonic enough that she could cancel our long-planned anniversary trip because Leo's having a rough time, he needs me. I protested, of course. Each time, I was met with her tears and accusations. "Ethan, why are you so insecure? We're just friends. If you keep this up, it means you don't trust me." Trust? Trust is like a sheet of paper. Once you crumple it, it's never perfectly smooth again. At our engagement party, when she gifted my token of love to another man, she didn't just crumple that paper. She tore it to shreds. Leaving the ballroom, my assistant, Jay, was already waiting with the car. He's the closest thing I have to a brother, with me since the early startup days, ruthlessly efficient. "Where to, Ethan?" he asked, his eyes meeting mine in the rearview mirror, laced with concern. I loosened my tie, a cold smirk playing on my lips. "Home, and then get Morris from Kestrel Group on the line. It's time to go to work." Kestrel Group was the top corporate intelligence firm in the country. For the right price, they could find out what color underwear a person wore in the 3rd grade. Back in my penthouse apartment, I stood before the floor-to-ceiling windows, looking down at the glittering sprawl of the city below. My phone buzzed. A text from Ava. "Ethan, are you out of your mind? You embarrassed me and my entire family tonight. You need to apologize right now." A second one followed immediately. "You do this to me over a stupid watch? Do you even love me? Leo said he'd give it back in a couple of days. What is your problem?" I looked at the texts, let out a short, sharp laugh, and blocked her number. A stupid watch? She would never understand. I'd spent 3 sleepless nights personally designing the custom face of that watch, engraved with a pattern that hid our initials. It wasn't just a $500,000 timepiece. It was my heart, offered freely. And now, my heart had been fed to the dogs. When it comes to the people who do the feeding and the dogs themselves, I have only one method. I make them kneel and spit out everything they devoured. Morris's call came through quickly, his voice professional and efficient. "Mr. Vance, what can I do for you?" "I need a deep dive on someone. Leo Sterling. I want everything. Family background, his time overseas, financials, relationships." I lit a cigar, my eyes sharp through the curling smoke. Especially his real reason for coming back to the States. "And Morris? I want what's hidden beneath the surface." "Understood. You'll have a preliminary report in 3 days. After hanging up, I sank into the sofa. Revenge isn't a burst of temper. It's a precision-engineered siege, a campaign where every move is calculated. My job was to find their weaknesses, and then, with maximum force, I would strike to kill. Leo Sterling, you like taking what's mine? I'm going to make you hand over everything you have with interest. Ava Harrison, you think he's more important than me? I'm going to make you watch as I grind your so-called best friend into the dust, so deep he'll never get up again. The game was on. 3 days later, Morris's encrypted email arrived on schedule. I scrolled through the file on Leo Sterling, a slow, predatory smile spreading across my face. Interesting. The report showed that Leo's family company, Sterling Enterprises, was a house of cards. On the surface, it was all prestige and polish. Underneath, it was rotting from the inside out. Several disastrous overseas investments a few years back had bled them dry. Their capital chain was stretched to the breaking point, held together only by bank loans and a desperate shell game of robbing Peter to pay Paul. Leo's purpose in returning was crystal clear: find a new investment. Or rather, find a lifeline, a target he could bleed to save his family's empire. And I, along with my company, Nexus Innovations, was apparently the juiciest target he could find. His strategy was simple: get close to Ava, charm her, and methodically drive a wedge between us. The ultimate goal was to use her to get his hands on my company's core technology, the Chimera AI system. Chimera was the culmination of 5 years of my life and nearly $1 billion in R&D. In the fields of image recognition and deep learning, it was at least 3 years ahead of anything else on the planet. Once commercialized, its value would be astronomical. Leo, the starving wolf, had smelled blood. Harrison is downstairs. She's making a scene, demanding to see you, Jay said, knocking and entering my office. He looked uneasy. I didn't even look up from the report. Let her wait. She wanted to see me? It could only be for one of two reasons: either to continue playing the role of the innocent victim and demand an explanation, or to offer a fake apology in an attempt to patch things up for her dear friend Leo's sake. Too bad for her. The actress was ready for her scene, but the director had decided to scrap the script. I picked up my phone and dialed my PR director. Sarah? It's Ethan Vance. Yes, about the press conference for the next funding round for Chimera. I want to move it up to next Wednesday. That's right. Get everything ready. After hanging up, I rose and walked to the window. Down below, I could see the slender figure of Ava pacing impatiently beside her sports car. Ava, Leo, you want Chimera so badly? Fine, I'll give you a chance. I'm dying to see. When I lay out a piece of bait that smells this delicious, but is laced with a slow-acting poison, will you be able to resist tearing off a bite? I had my PR team strategically leak the news of the press conference. In an instant, the tech and venture capital worlds were buzzing. Nexus Innovations was opening a funding round for the Chimera AI. It was easily the biggest business news of the year. Capital began to circle like sharks, and among them, of course, was Leo Sterling's Sterling Enterprises. Over the next few days, Ava called and texted me like a woman possessed. I ignored every single one. Finally, the day before the press conference, she stormed directly into my office. Her eyes were red and puffy, her face drawn. The moment she saw me, the waterworks started. Ethan, what is this? Are we really over? Just like that? Over something so small. I sat behind my desk, watching her perform, feeling like I was watching a particularly bad off-Broadway play. Are you done? I asked, my tone flat. If you're done, you can leave. I have work to do. She seemed stunned by my coldness. After a moment, she bit her lip and switched tactics, her expression shifting to one of heartbreaking vulnerability. Ethan, I know I was wrong. Please forgive me. Can we just start over? I know you're still angry at Leo, and he feels terrible about it. He wants to apologize to you in person. Oh, I raised an eyebrow. Does he now? Yes. Seeing a glimmer of hope, she rushed on. Leo truly admires you, especially your Chimera system. He says you're a genuine genius. She took a breath, then delivered the punchline. He also said that Sterling Enterprises would be honored to participate in this funding round. At any cost. There it was. The real reason she was here. I laughed inwardly, but let a carefully constructed look of hesitation and conflict cross my face. Ava, this isn't some small matter. Chimera is my life's work. I know. She grabbed my hand, her eyes pleading. Just do it for me. Give us a chance. Give him a chance, please. Leo said they're willing to offer a 30% premium above the market valuation. That's a massive show of good faith. I pulled my hand away and leaned back in my chair, my fingers tapping a slow, rhythmic beat on the desktop. Ava watched me, holding her breath. After a long moment, as if making a monumental decision, I let out a heavy sigh. All right, for the sake of what we used to have. After the press conference tomorrow, have him come see me. We can talk. A look of pure ecstasy washed over Ava's face. She threw her arms around me. I knew you still loved me. Oh, Ethan, you're the best. From an angle where she couldn't see, my eyes were as cold and dead as the Antarctic shelf. Love you? No, I'm just personally digging a beautiful, ornate grave big enough for the both of you. The press conference was a resounding success. The capabilities demonstrated by the Chimera AI stunned every investor and journalist in the room. My phone was blowing up with partnership offers and funding inquiries, but I put them all on hold, citing the need for internal review. I was waiting for the greediest, most foolish fish to take the bait. Leo Sterling arrived. He had Ava on his arm and a professional-looking investment proposal in his hand as he walked into my office. He was wearing a perfectly tailored Armani suit, and a watch on his wrist had been upgraded to a Vacheron Constantine. But the look in his eyes couldn't hide a self-satisfied superiority and a flicker of raw, undisguised greed. Mr. Vance, it's an honor, he said, extending his hand with a warm smile. I gave a brief, firm shake and gestured toward the chairs. The pleasure is all mine, Mr. Sterling. Please have a seat. Ava, acting as if she were the lady of the house, moved to make coffee for us. Her face was aglow with a triumphant happiness, as if this wasn't a high-stakes business negotiation, but a cozy family get-together. She probably thought she had single-handedly mended the rift between her boyfriend and her best friend, securing a golden opportunity for the latter. The poor, pathetic woman. Ethan, I'll get right to the point, Leo began, sliding the proposal across my desk. Sterling Enterprises is determined to be a part of Chimera's future. We're prepared to offer $300 million for a 30% stake in the project. He leaned forward. Furthermore, we will leverage every resource and channel at our disposal to support the commercial rollout. I flipped open the proposal and scanned it. The terms were generous, almost too generous. For a company with a precarious cash flow, coughing up $300 million in cash was an all-in gamble. He was betting that I would accept this seemingly win-win deal for Ava's sake. More than that, he was betting that this partnership would be his ticket to stealing Chimera's source code. I closed the folder, leaned back in my chair, and locked my eyes on his. That's a big appetite, Leo. 30% would make you the largest shareholder besides me. It would give you a seat on the board. I paused, and access to the core technology. Leo's smile didn't falter, but his eyes sharpened. We're coming to the table with a serious offer. True synergy can only be achieved through deep partnership. Wouldn't you agree? I believe you're a smart businessman, Ethan. Smart. I chuckled. A smart businessman doesn't put all his eggs in one basket, and he damn sure doesn't let anyone else touch his basket. The atmosphere turned to ice. Ava sensed the shift and quickly tried to smooth things over. Oh, you two, why so serious? Ethan, Leo genuinely wants to work with you. Don't give him such a hard time. She shot me a look, a silent plea, as if my refusal would be a personal affront to her, a sign of my immaturity. A wave of disgust washed over me, but I let a look of pained conflict show on my face. I stewed in silence for a moment before speaking. How about this, Leo? A direct equity sale is too risky. We could try a different kind of partnership. Leo leaned forward slightly. I'm listening. We form a new joint venture. Nexus provides the tech. Sterling Enterprises provides the capital and market access. We split the equity 50-50. But, I said, my tone hardening, the core algorithms and source code remain under my exclusive control. You'll only get access to a sandboxed API. It was a proposal that sounded fair on the surface, but kept all the real value firmly in my hands. Leo's brow furrowed. He wanted the goose that laid the golden eggs, not a daily ration of eggs. He glanced at Ava. She immediately understood her cue and started working on me again. Ethan, that sounds so complicated. Besides, Leo's team has technical expertise. Without the source code, they can't do any follow-up development or optimization. Don't you even trust him? He's my best friend. She's right, Ethan, Leo chimed in. Without the source code, our multi-million-dollar investment would be completely at your mercy. That's not fair. I watched them, a perfectly synchronized duo. Acting. Who couldn't act? I slammed my hand on the desk and shot to my feet, my face a mask of anger and disappointment pushed to its limit. Enough. Ava. I pointed a trembling finger at her. In your mind, am I that untrustworthy? You'd side with an outsider against me like this? This company is my life. Do you get that? My sudden outburst startled them both. Ava's eyes welled up with tears. I didn't mean it like that. I just thought. You thought. I scoffed. turning my glare on Leo. My expression was a whirlwind of conflict and pain, finally settling into one of grim resolution. Fine. Leo, you want a chance? You've got it. I spoke like a desperate gambler, pushing all his chips to the center of the table. 300 million for 30%. I agree, but I want it in cash. All 9 figures in my account within 1 week. And we're signing a performance clause. What kind of clause? Leo's eyes lit up. The agreement will stipulate that if the commercial applications built on the Chimera system fail to achieve a net profit of $100 million within 1 year, I said, gritting my teeth, then I have the right to buy back all of your shares. I leaned in. For $1. It was an impossibly harsh condition. $100 million in net profit for a brand new AI venture in its first year was a Herculean task. I was essentially telling him that I, Ethan Vance, blinded by love and desperate to keep my fiancée, was willing to bet my entire future. A flash of ecstatic contempt crossed Leo's eyes. He clearly believed he had me wrapped around his and Ava's little fingers. As for the performance clause, it was meaningless to him. Once he had the source code, he had 100 ways to copy it, rebrand it, and launch it himself. The joint venture would be nothing but an empty shell. He'd probably prefer to miss the profit target, just to let the sucker buy back the mess for a $1. Done. A man of action. I like that. Leo stood up so fast his chair nearly tipped over. He extended his hand again. To our partnership. I looked at his outstretched hand, then at Ava, who was crying tears of joy, believing she had just saved the world. Slowly, I reached out and shook his hand. To our partnership. The fish had taken a hook. Now it was time to reel him in. The contracts were signed with astonishing speed. Leo's efficiency was remarkable, or rather, his desperation was. In just 5 days, the $300 million was wired to my company's account. To scrape the money together, he had mortgaged the majority of Sterling Enterprises' fixed assets and had even taken on a series of high-interest bridge loans. He had bet the entire house. The day after the money cleared, as stipulated in our agreement, I arranged for the transfer of the Chimera system's core code to Leo's technical team. The handover took place in our secure server room. Through the thick security glass, I watched the hungry, ecstatic expressions on the faces of Leo and his so-called experts. They circled the terminal like a pack of wolves around a fresh kill, eager to tear it apart. Ava was there too, clinging to Leo's arm, whispering something to him with a radiant smile. They looked so comfortable, so perfectly matched, as if they were the partners. I was just the hired help providing the tools. Jay stood beside me, his voice low and worried. Ethan, are you sure about this? Giving them the code? It's the heart and soul of this company. I clapped him on the shoulder, a cryptic smile on my face. Don't worry, I'm giving them exactly what they want. He was right. I was giving them the code. A version of it I had personally curated. On the surface, it was flawless, elegant, powerful, and logically sound. It even ran more smoothly than our own internal builds. They could run every diagnostic in the book and find nothing wrong. But deep within its foundational layers, I had embedded a backdoor. A logic bomb that could only be triggered by me. I called it the Icarus wing. In the Greek myth, Icarus flies toward the sun on wings made of wax, only to have them melt when he flies too high, sending him plunging to his death. That's what I had given Leo. A beautiful pair of wings. The higher he flew, the more catastrophic his fall would be. Over the next 2 months, Sterling Enterprises was re-energized, as if shot through with adrenaline. Using the Chimera system, they quickly developed and branded a new AI product called Profit. It was marketed as a revolutionary next-generation solution, and they launched a massive promotional campaign to build hype. The media coverage was relentless. Sterling Enterprises' stock price soared. Leo Sterling was suddenly the toast of the town, the hottest new visionary in the tech world. He and Ava were inseparable, a fixture at every high-profile event. During one tech summit, a reporter asked him who the single biggest contributor to his success was. In front of all the cameras, he looked lovingly at Ava, who was standing beside him, and said with a smile, I have to thank one person. She is the light of my life, my muse. Without her, there would be no Profit. Under the flash of cameras, Ava was moved to tears. The clip went viral. Everyone called them a match made in heaven. A friend forwarded me the video, asking how I felt. How did I feel? I found it hilarious. The clown was putting on the performance of a lifetime, completely unaware that the gallows were being built for him just offstage. Finally, Leo announced that the Profit system would have its global launch in 1 month at the city's main convention center. Invitations went out to a global audience of politicians, business titans, tech gurus, and the international press. It was billed as the moment the world would witness a miracle. I received an invitation, too. It was printed on heavy, gold-leaf cardstock. Leo's signature was a flamboyant, arrogant scrawl across the bottom. This was his victory lap, a final flex meant for me. He wanted me to watch, in person, as he ascended to the throne built on the back of my life's work. He wanted me to see the woman who was supposed to be my wife adoringly at his side, sharing in his glory. "Are we going, Ethan?" Jay asked, his fists clenched tight. "We're going," I said, placing the invitation on my desk. "Of course we're going. You don't miss a fireworks show this spectacular." I stood and walked to the massive window. Outside, the sky was darkening, a storm gathering on the horizon. "Your wings are magnificent, Leo. Now, it's time for you to fly toward the sun." On the day of the launch, the convention center was packed, a veritable sea of people. The event was bigger than anyone expected. I arrived neither early nor late and took the seat reserved for me in the front row, a special spot for honored guests. From here, I had a perfect, unobstructed view of the main stage. I saw Leo, dressed in a custom tuxedo. He was electric, moving through a circle of industry heavyweights, laughing and shaking hands. He saw me. Our eyes met for a second, and a triumphant smile spread across his face. He even raised a champagne flute in a small toast. His eyes said it all. "Thank for Chimera, Ethan. It's mine now." I saw Ava. She looked like a princess in a glittering, midnight blue gown. She was on the arm of Leo's father, the chairman of Sterling Enterprises, gliding through the crowd with a look of pure bliss. She saw me too. Her gaze lingered for less than a second before moving on, cold and dismissive, as if I were a complete stranger. It didn't bother me. I sat quietly, an audience member waiting for the show to begin. At precisely 3 p.m., the conference started. Triumphant music swelled as Leo Sterling walked onto the stage. A single spotlight found him. He looked like a king surveying his domain. "Ladies and gentlemen, friends, colleagues, welcome to the age of profit." He began his speech, a soaring oration about the future of artificial intelligence and technology's power to change the world. It was polished, passionate, and full of grand promises. The applause was thunderous. Ava sat in the front row on the opposite side of the aisle, her eyes fixed on the man on stage, filled with a look of utter adoration and love. To her, Leo Sterling was a god. Finally, the presentation reached its climax. And now, Leo's voice boomed, his arms spread wide. "It is time to witness a miracle. Let's launch." Profit. On the enormous LED screen behind him, a sleek, futuristic launch button appeared. Leo's hand moved toward it in slow motion. 3, 2, 1. Every eye in the room was glued to that screen. The entire audience held its breath. The very instant Leo's finger made contact with the button, my phone, tucked away in my pocket, gave a single silent vibration. I pressed the single command I'd already typed out. "Send." Simultaneously, the massive screen on stage froze. The cool launch animation stuttered, stuck on the final frame. Then, the screen flashed a blinding, electric blue. A single line of white text appeared in the center. "Icarus. The XE has crashed. Reason: flew too close to the sun." A confused murmur rippled through the crowd. The confident smile on Leo's face vaporized. The color drained from his face, leaving it a waxy, chalk white. "What's happening?" "Tech support. What the hell is going on back there?" He hissed into his headset microphone. But that was only the beginning. Every single device in the auditorium connected to the Profit demo. The tablets on the guest tables, the laptops in the press area, the smartphones at the display booths, all of them flickered and switched to the same blue screen of death. The Profit system, on the day of its global debut, under the watchful eyes of the entire world, had crashed and burned in the most public, most humiliating way imaginable. But I wasn't done. The blue screen vanished, replaced by a series of documents, each stamped with a bright red confidential. They were Sterling Enterprises' internal financial reports, overdue notices from banks, loan contracts from predatory lenders, and transcripts of encrypted chats between Leo and his father, outlining their entire plan, how to steal the Chimera AI source code, and how to sideline me once they had it. Every document was a dagger. Every message was a hammer blow. Oh my God, this is corporate espionage. They leveraged everything on fraudulent claims. So the technology was stolen. The room erupted. Camera flashes went off like machine gun fire. Reporters, smelling the blood in the water, swarmed toward the stage. Leo stood frozen, trembling like a leaf in a hurricane. He was finished. He knew, with absolute certainty, that he was utterly and completely finished. His father, The old chairman saw the evidence on the screen, his eyes went wide, and he collapsed, clutching his chest. A heart attack, right there in the front row. The scene descended into pure chaos. And Ava, she just stood there dumbfounded, staring at the pathetic corner man on stage, staring at the damning evidence scrolling across the screen. Her beautiful face was a canvas of confusion and disbelief. Finally, her eyes found mine. I met her gaze and slowly rose to my feet. I said nothing. I just lifted my glass of wine, gave her a small, knowing nod, and drained the deep red liquid in a single swallow. It tasted like a victory that was long overdue, and unbelievably sweet. Judgment Day had arrived. I left the convention center in the middle of the chaos. Behind me, I could hear Leo's desperate, broken screams, Ava's heart-wrenching sobs, the approaching wail of sirens, and the frenzied questions of reporters. None of it had anything to do with me anymore. Back in the car, Jay handed me a bottle of cold water. That was beautiful, Ethan. His praise was concise, but his eyes shone with respect. I took a long drink, exhaling slowly. The knot of anger that had been tightening in my chest for months finally unraveled. Handle the fallout. Keep it clean, I instructed. Don't worry, Jay nodded. Sterling Enterprises' credit line is gone. With a scandal this big involving fraud and tech theft, the banks and investors will carve them up. There won't be anything left. He glanced at me in the rearview mirror. As for those loan sharks, I imagine they'll be very eager to have a private chat with Leo. I smiled. Leo's fate was sealed. He would not only lose his fortune, but would also be facing serious prison time. Everything he had clawed for wealth, fame, status, had turned to ash today. That was the price for trying to take what was mine. My phone buzzed again. An unknown number. I answered it. Ethan. It was Ava's voice, hoarse, broken, and choked with tears. Speaking. What is it? My voice was as calm and still as a frozen lake. Why? Why would you do this? She sobbed. You destroyed him. You destroyed everything he had. I destroyed him. I asked as if I'd just heard the funniest joke in the world. Ava, you still think this is my fault, isn't it? Even if he made a mistake, couldn't you have just let it go? Do you have any idea how much of his heart and soul he poured into profit? Was his heart and soul scheming to get close to you, use you, and steal my life's work? I cut her off, my voice turning to ice. Ava, save your pathetic saint routine for someone who cares. From the moment you put my watch on his wrist, you were both already dead to me. The other end of the line was silent, save for her suppressed, ragged breaths. After a long moment, she spoke again, her tone now pleading. Ethan, can we go back? I know I was wrong. I really do. Please, just give me one more chance. Go back. I laughed. Ava, do you know why I even bothered to show up at the launch event today? I asked, ignoring her question. I want to see one thing for myself, I said, leaning my head against the cool glass of the window, watching the city lights streak by. I wanted to see the look on your face when Leo was at the absolute pinnacle of his success. And then, I wanted to see the look on your face as he was cast down from heaven into the depths of hell. And I have to say, I was very satisfied with what I saw. So we're done here. You and your best friend can disappear from my life. Together. I didn't give her a chance to reply. I ended the call and blocked the number. It was over between us. The dust had settled. I'm no saint. I don't believe in turning the other cheek. Those who betray me will pay the price 100 times over. Those who hurt me will live to regret the day they were born. As for Ava, her greatest punishment isn't losing me. It's that she will be forced to live inside today's nightmare for the rest of her life. She was the one who personally pushed the man she loved and her own family's reputation into the abyss. That guilt and regret will be her constant companion forever. The car moved smoothly down the highway. The last rays of the setting sun slanted through the window, warm on my face. A storm had passed, and my world was nothing but clear skies. Jay caught my eye in the mirror and smiled. So what's next, Ethan? I stretched, my entire body feeling light and free. The plan? First, a long vacation. See the world. Then, I come back and take Chimera to the heights it was always destined for. Yes, the game was over. My revenge was complete, and my life was just beginning.